Good morning, beautiful souls. Gypsy here. Um, First, I want to say good morning. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Um, I recently started going back live doing my readings, and I've had a lot of questions about how long I've been doing this and what all I do. So I thought I would come on and kind of give you a little information on who I am, about my spiritual gifts, and how I conduct my readings. So I started having visions and dreams when I was 5 years old. Um, at 5 years old, I was going through a whole lot of sexual abuse from family members, and I was being kind of tossed around from place to place. I had this puppy named Snoopy, and Snoopy had run across the road one day about lunchtime. There was a bunch of companies around us in the neighborhood where we live, and I knew better, and I started calling him, and he come running across the road just in the middle of lunchtime traffic and several cars hitting. My mother helped me gather him up, and we put him on a table, and she was checking him out. She was a nurse, so she was checking him out, and we watched him take his last breath, and he defecated. um, Everything inside of him had come out. He was no longer moving, no longer breathing. I was so tore up by this that I had took him out to the barn that was out back, and I sat with him in my lap and cried and cried and cried myself to sleep. Snoopy was the only safe haven I had. He was the only joyful thing that was in my life. So the next morning when I woke up, scared to death that my mom was going to beat me for staying out all night, I'm walking up to the house, and from the left side of the house come Snoopy running. When I woke up, he wasn't in my lap, and I thought that mom or my stepfather had gotten him in the night and buried him. So, of course, I was excited and amazed. And I walked into the house, and Snoopy followed me in, and Mama was standing at the kitchen. And she turned around, or standing at the sink rather, and she turned around and looked at me, and her jaw just dropped. And she asked me, kind of in a angry mode, "What did you do? What did you do?" And I remember saying, "I didn't do anything. What did you do?" From there, like I was saying, I was having dreams and visions from God. Um, in those dreams and visions, He was letting me know that I was His, that I belonged to Him. And He was letting me know that I was a special kind of person. And I'm trying to explain this really without going into detail of the dreams and the visions, because some of them are to just tell you about the dream, you would kind of think I'm crazy or there's something wrong with me. Um, I'll save that story for personal one on one conversations if anybody wants to hear the story. Um, at that time, we were actually living in a house that was haunted, and I hate that word haunted. Um, a guy had been brutally killed by his wife, of course, for cheating. He was killed with darts, the old little darts that had a really sharp point, and we, threw them at the board. She actually stabbed him to death with a handful of those upstairs in my bedroom. Um, and he tried to crawl out the upstairs window where he laid and bled out and died hanging halfway out the window. Strange things would happen in that house. Um, Dishes would just kind of be picked up out of the dish drain and slammed down and busted. The walls would bleed. Um, The radios would turn on and off, the stations would turn. When you were asleep at night, it would pull covers off of you. There was just always something going on in the house. And it wasn't all spirits or the dead. Lots of it was demons as well. The blood on the walls was demons. Um, a lot of the actions and things that happened were demons. Oftentimes you'd be standing under a ceiling fan and it would just drop out of the ceiling on you. There was big blood stain in the living room floor where she had originally stabbed him. And we could clean and clean and clean, and a stain would come back. Finally, my father had the floors refinished, and we thought that that would take care of it, but it didn't. The blood stain came back. We did things like putting a flower on the steps of the staircase, and you would see bare footsteps in the flower. This went on so long and was so aggravating, and he really just aggravated the women. He honestly left the men alone. He had us revenge for women. My mom couldn't handle it anymore, so one day she called in this crew, this paranormal crew, and they took pictures of the house and took pictures of Mom, and in those pictures they called Christopher Brown. That was his name, Christopher Brown of High Point, North Carolina, and Denny Street. And after that, he didn't do the things that he used to do. But for me, he was always in my head, and he was always taunting me. The kind of like hallway, I guess you would say, leading up to these stairs was to me like a dungeon. And every night I would dream of Christopher, who appeared to be this completely hairless man, bald, very tall, very slender, but muscular. He is sitting in a corner of the room on a big pile of rocks, and there are wolves that are sitting around him. And in the dream, I'm trying to get upstairs to my room, but I'm terrified to go into that hallway. He is sitting in a corner, and he is laughing and taunting me and daring me to pass him and go up the staircase. Well, every night of my life for 5 years, I dreamed that. At 10 years old, I dreamed it one more time. I walked past him. I looked at him. I smiled. And I walked upstairs. From that moment on, I started being able to see demons, see spirits. Of course, I didn't know what they were at the time. As the years went by, I was homeless. I couldn't stay at my father's because my brother was molesting me. So I really had nowhere to go. But I always had a dog. I've always got a dog. And my dogs have always took care of me. I've been in several situations where I was being attacked or fixing to be attacked, and my dogs would save me. Each dog I have ever had since 5 years old, if they were ran over, if they got parvo, if they were mauled by other animals, each time I'd take them to the vet would say, the dog's not going to make it. We need to put the dog down. And each time I would say, no, this is my friend. This is my angel. This is all I have. I'm not letting go. At this time, I didn't know what prayer was. I didn't really know what prayer was until I turned 27. So with each animal, what I did was, and I think the key thing was, I had so much love and compassion for those animals, and I needed them so bad, and they needed me. And I think that it was that love that healed them each time and kept them from dying. I had one dog for 14 years. Her name was Sugar. 3 times she was supposed to have died, and 3 times I did not let her die. And I say me, but we all know that it's God in me, God through us, that makes all things possible. I needed those animals, and they needed me. So I continued to do that for a long time. And then at 27, I got baptized at Beulah Baptist Church on Old Mountain Road in Statesville. And then I started getting these signs, these random signs, places. For example, we went to the Goodwill one time and dropped off a bunch of donation stuff, and I had just been saved. And I had gotten out and I had helped him put stuff out on the dock, and I got back into the car. I had to get back out for some reason, don't remember what it was, but when I got back out, my eyes automatically go to the ground. When I'm walking, I'm never looking ahead. I'm usually looking down. And there, as I set my foot down on the pavement, was a coin. It was not there before. And I picked it up and I read it, and it said, "You are a prayer warrior. Your gift is the gift of healing." So I held on to that for years. And over the years, I kept getting other little signs like that, just magical little things that would come up. So I moved by accident, really, into healing people. And this was with my mother. She had been diagnosed with colon cancer, kidney cancer, and a spot on her brain. Now, my mother was a hard card. She was an evil type person, and no one liked her. No one wanted to be around her. I didn't even like her. I loved her, but I didn't like her. And she was a hard woman, just very hard, and she didn't show emotions. So she had been to a doctor's appointment, had some things done, some testing, and now we're back for the follow-up. And the follow-up, the doctor tells her she has cancer. And I watched my mama break down. And what hurt me about watching mom break down is the fact that she was scared. She was so scared to die. And that hurt me. She wasn't afraid of cancer. She wasn't afraid of being sick. She wasn't afraid of hurting. She was afraid of dying. And for the first time in my life, I saw my mother have emotions. I saw her cry for the first time and the last. And it was that point in time that I started realizing how powerful actual prayer was. She's in surgery, and at the time I just gotten saved, and I was constantly reading my Bible. And I'm sitting there with my brother and my sister. I'm reading the Bible, and they're chit-chatting. And I take a little break, and I walk outside. And I'm praying, and I'm talking to God. And I'm asking God to give her strength. And why didn't I ask for healing? Because I felt like lots of times there are things that we have to go through. We survive them. But they have to kind of break us down so that we can come to terms with reality. Because when you're faced with death, you start to think about your loved ones and how much time you wasted. You think about the time that was spent arguing instead of loving and having family time with that person. You think about all the wish I had ofs and if I had ofs. And that's very lonely. It's very sad. And I didn't want to see my mother going through that. So I asked God to give her strength. to make it through what she was going through. I wanted to ask God to heal her. In my heart, that's what I wanted to ask. I couldn't bring myself to do that. So I go back in and I'm reading some more, and a couple minutes later, the doctor comes out. He takes his glasses off and he slowly sits down, and he is as white as the sheet behind me. And he looks up with his hands folded, and he looks right at me first, and he says, "Honestly, guys, it's a miracle. The cancer had formed a hard shell all the way around it and kept it from spreading. Now, this type of cancer she had, and the surgery they had to do, most often, about 98% of the people, the cancer was spread immediately once it was opened up. And that was my biggest fear, that even if they got the cancer from one place, it was going to spread somewhere else. But it didn't. God contained it. And he contained it because he answered the prayer of my heart, not the one that, but the prayer in my heart is what he answered. And I remember when we went for testing, or it must have been maybe her pre-op, that's what it was. I'm waiting around. She's back there talking to the doctor. She was a very private person. She didn't want anyone there knowing what was going on. She didn't want anybody feeling sorry for her. She just wanted to kind of keep it to herself. So I'm in a lobby waiting. And I walk outside, and I'm standing out there smoking a cigarette. And I'm thinking to myself, actually, I was being kind of selfish, honestly. And I was thinking about everything that I wanted in life and what I wanted from my mom and what I wanted from mom. And I was kind of arguing with myself because I knew that that wasn't right. And I was just in one of those places where I guess I was afraid to lose my mom. I was a little upset that this was happening to my mom. I was upset with my siblings because they didn't care really what was happening with mom. And I was just in one of those moods where I was just all about myself. And I started hearing what sounded like someone shuffling their feet. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, just pick up your feet. It has always drove me crazy to hear somebody shuffling their feet or sliding their feet when they walk. Pick your feet up. And so, I was just, in my mind, I was really bad-mouthing this person that I haven't seen yet, but I could hear him walking up. And to me, I was just bad-mouthing them. And I turned around just as the person said, "Can I help you?" And I turned and looked at her like, So we got to talking. And I became very stunned. I was speechless. She just began to talk. And she says, "I just moved to Statesville from Thomasville, and I'm looking for a place to move to. My own home." And I thought, wow, I just moved from Thomasville to Statesville. And we were looking for a place to live. Then she tells me that she's in the flower business and she makes silk florals. Again, my jaw dropped because that's what I did. I made silk florals. I had a flower shop. She went on to talk, and the more she talked, the more it sounded like she was talking about me. I just stared at her, just kind of dumbfounded. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Everything that came out of her mouth, everything she talked about was everything that I had gone through, everything I was going through, and everything I was looking forward to. I couldn't grasp that. And then I started feeling bad because I'd been bad-mouthing her for shuffling her feet. So she gave me a hug. I hugged her back. She tells me to have a blessed day and that everything's going to be okay, and she walks away. So I go on back in, and I figure it's time to get it with Mama. Let's go. So I'm walking around looking for Mama. And the woman crosses my path and goes into a gift shop. But when she passed, we made eye contact. I nodded at her, but she looked at me like she had never seen me before in her life. She didn't even acknowledge that I was the person that was just standing outside talking to her, and it hadn't been 2 minutes. And I walked away thinking to myself, oh, wow, she must not have meant anything she said to me. That hug didn't mean anything because she didn't even recognize it was me, and I'm 3 feet from her. I mean, I literally almost ran into her as she crossed my path. I was a little down, but still had to find Mom. So I found Mom, and we walk out to the van. We're getting in the van, and suddenly I hear someone say to me, "Can I give you something?" I turned and looked, and it was her. And she reached out with her hand closed and dropped something in my hand, kind of folded my hand up, and told me again to be blessed and that all would work out. And she walked away. I got in the van. I didn't look at what she gave me. I was just telling Mama on the way home about my experience with this woman. And I remember Mom telling me that I was just too sensitive and to not always take everything. So, trying to think of the word she used. Not to believe in everything because I was so sensitive. And so, anyways, I take Mom home, I drop her off, and I get home and I walk into the house. And I remembered that I had this coin, this gift that she'd given me. So I pulled it out of my pocket, and it was a little angel, and it had a little note with it. And the note said, "I am an angel. God sent me to you because he is very busy with other things. He wanted you to know that he's with you at all times, and so am I. And you are special and very gifted, and you have a divine purpose in this life." I fell to my knees and I cried and cried and cried like a baby. And I couldn't believe, after all the things I'd done in my life, that he loved me. That he loved me enough to send an angel to me. And I knew right then when I read that she was an angel, my angel. And God sent her to me in person. So then Mom's in the hospital. She's had her surgery. And I began to understand, truly understand what it meant to pray and receive healing. My mom had tubes, hoses running everywhere. She would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying and just tugging on those hoses and plugs and things and trying to get him out of her. And I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand watching my mom suffer like that and then watch her just kind of wail out in pain. And this went on all night long, every couple hours. And each time that she did this, I would try to comfort her, and I couldn't. I couldn't calm her down. There was nothing I could do. I'd call a nurse in. I would have to go downstairs and smoke a cigarette and calm my nerves. And each time that I went downstairs, I would pray, "God, please, please take that tube out of her nose. It's bothering her. It's hurting her. Please, I don't want to see her suffer." I'd go back upstairs to check on her, and the nurse is taking the hose out of her nose. A little while later, I'm back downstairs again. She's pitching a fit and in a lot of pain, and I'm down there praying, "God, please take that catheter out. Take it out. God, it's hurting her." I go back upstairs, and the nurse is taking out the catheter. This went on all night. Everything that I went downstairs and asked God for, within seconds, within minutes, he gave it to me. And my mother walked out cancer-free. They had to remove one kidney, but she was cancer-free, and she remained cancer-free. And then from there, I got to where if I'm really in the spirit, if I'm really living right, and I'm not always living right now, I've had my ups and my downs, and I've done a lot of learning over the years. And I have been able to just lay my hand on someone's knees and their pain go away. I've been able to pray for healing and people are healed. I've done this so often and so many times in my life. I'll be 47 in a couple weeks. So I've been doing this for 41 years. 41 years I have been spiritually inclined and in tune with my gifts. In my early 30s, I had at some point walked away from the Lord, and in my early 30s, I decided I wanted to return. Because as I was taught, and you have to understand, my grandparents was Baptist, but my aunts, my uncles, and my mother were into witchcraft, especially my aunt. And so we had both good and we had bad in our blood. And I began to think that all these things that I was doing, because I was listening to the Christian people, I was listening to the pastor of their harping on this. I felt like I was evil. I felt like I was not a gift from God and that God wasn't even with me. Otherwise, how am I doing these things? Even after getting saved, I thought, what's wrong? I would sit in church and I could hear the people behind me and around me crying. I would turn to look to see who was crying. No one was. As the pastor would be preaching or he would be praying, I would hear these segments of prayers from different people all around me. And I remember coming home so distraught and telling John at the time, I don't know what's wrong. I gave myself to God. Why am I still doing this? Am I evil? Does the devil have control of me? And it wasn't until I was probably mid to late 30s that I come to realize I'm not evil. I'm gifted. And all of us are gifted. Some of us accept it and use it. Some of us don't accept it. Some of us don't even pay it no attention. Some of us recognize it and won't use it. And I think the Christians today, and I mean the Christians over the past 100 years, have it wrong. Literally, they have it wrong. I went to Bible college, theology college. Over the years, I've taken many clergy credential assignments. I have certifications and degrees in over 18 different spiritual modalities, as well as psychological modalities. I spent my whole life studying angels, demons, in the spirit world because I was confused about who I was. I was confused about my dreams. Just when I would be settled and think, oh, yes, and this is it, I would hear some Christian in my ear. And I said that a little resentful, didn't I? I didn't mean to. But I guess what I'm resenting is lots of times Christian people, and this would be anybody, but I'm talking in the spiritual life. Christian people think they know it because this pastor told them this, or because this is this pastor's interpretation of the word, that it is what it is, and it's not. They have it wrong. I spent 15 years studying God. I've studied Hebrew. I've studied Arabic. I speak Arabic. I've studied angels and demons, spiritual modalities. I have studied every and any aspect of the Spirit and of God that there is to study. And I continue to study. I continue to take courses. I've got certifications in holistic health, certifications in cognitive life behavior, spiritual consult. I even in hypnosis. Once I decided to come out publicly with who I am and what I do, really started taking a lot of courses, lots of courses. Just simply because the world wants to see validation. They want to see credentials. They want to see that you have the education. We can't trust people to just go on their word to know what they are saying is right or true. And the last thing I want to do is be wrong, especially when I'm helping someone. And now I've done this 2 ways. I did practice witchcraft for a short period of time. And like I said, I've walked with God. I've used the tarot cards. I've called on the dark angels. I have called on the ancestors. I have called on every ascended ancestor or spiritual being that there is. And I have just simply asked God to help me. And I have found that even though I use cards, I don't necessarily use tarot cards. I use angel cards and I use a Jesus deck of cards. And I have found that if I put God first, if I call on the name of Jesus, if I ask for Him and only Him to give me these messages for other people, if I put Him first, if I call on no other entity but Him, then I can't go wrong and I can't be wrong. I am more of a prophet than a psychic or a reader. And I hate those 2 titles because I don't resonate with psychic or healer. I resonate with prophet because God gave us 7 spiritual gifts. And He created teachers and pastors and priests and rabbis and evangelists and prophets. He created them to do the will that He has. Whereas a psychic or a reader, 9 times out of 10, they have studied how to read the tarot cards. And it's very simple. It's very easy because everybody's life situation is about the same. We handle it different. It comes about in different times and has a few different circumstances with it, but we all pretty much suffer the same thing. So when I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm asking God to help me to help you. I'm asking God to show me anything that you need help or guidance with. And I look at the person with a holistic view. Not only will I just tell you what God is wanting you to know, but I'll also help you to change your life around, start thinking differently, rebuild your spirit, feed your spirit, and teach you why things are like they are in your life, how they got that way. So I just want you guys to understand that I don't like the word reader. I don't like the word psychic. I am a prophet and an evangelist, and I have been touched by God at the early age of 5. I know things, I see things, I look at things completely different than any human being that I've ever encountered or know of. When I look at someone, I immediately see their spirit first and only. I am more of a before Christ sort of person. I am Old Testament, not New Testament. I try to live my life as before Jesus came and while Jesus was here, if that makes sense. The words that I use 9 times out of 10, I mean them exactly in their definition. When I speak, when I talk, my meanings are not the same meanings as people of today. I am Hebrew through and through. I understand things and I see things, and I understand it when I see it in a very profound, deeply spiritual manner. When I'm doing a reading for someone, I actually will feel their sensations. I will smell what they smell. I will hurt in the areas that they hurt. I will take on sickness and disease from people, and I'll hold it in my body. Other people like me will release it back into the earth for new energies, but I won't. I won't, because once it's put back into the earth, recycled, new energy, and it comes back out. It comes back out into a world that is surrounded by evil. This world is not our world. This world belongs to the devil. He walks to and fro. And it's like casting out demons, something that I don't like to do either, because when you cast one out, 7 more come back that are just as bad and more deadly. So I will take on those sicknesses, those illnesses, mental, physical, emotionally, and I keep them in my body. And this is my sacrifice for each and every one of you. Even if I don't like you, I don't want anyone to hurt. I don't want anyone to suffer. Our battle is constantly with evil, constantly. And the worse this world gets, the harder the battle is going to be. So why would I release that energy back into the world at all? This is my personal sacrifice. To me, I'm giving back to a world that didn't give me anything. I'm trying to teach the world to love, to forgive, to heal, how to self-heal. And this is why I have so many health problems and issues. I stay on the edge of having cancer, stomach, throat, breast, vaginal, uterus. Each one of those I have taken from someone, and I can tell you each and every person that I took that from. I have several digestive issues, just to name a few: GERD, diverticulitis, IBS. I took those from people. Most of those I took from my mother. Mental illness, I would say that, and I'm not done being diagnosed, I would say that I have took everything but bipolar and schizophrenic. I will not take those two things from people at all. And the reason why is because in the spirit, how I see them, they are demons. They are very strong demons that are attacking people. And medication does not help that. The only thing medication does is alter our mind's thinking process, which is great because everything in life is mind over matter. But I don't regret any of it. My life is hard. It's hard to live the way I am. It's hard to be sick all the time. Diabetes, which is strange. I have taken the neuropathy from diabetes, the effects of diabetes from people. And I have been diagnosed with diabetes. However, the charts do not show diabetes, full-blown diabetes in my lab work at all. Go figure. I have attacks where I blank out, pass out, can't breathe. I have OCD, and I have took that from 3 people. I know exactly the 3 I took it from. And it's kind of like, if you'll think of the movie Grudge, I think it's the first movie, Grudge. In the beginning, it's kind of showing you the back history, and this woman is taking evil from people through a drop of blood, and she's putting this drop of blood onto her daughter's tongue, in her daughter's mouth. And the point is, she's kind of making her daughter take on the sicknesses and the evil from all these people that are coming to her to help her. And that's kind of what I do. I don't take in demons. I fight demons. I fight them spiritually and mentally. And demons is another segment that I think I'll do a video on at some point in time. A lot of us people have demons wrong. We really don't understand them. Let's see, anything else I want to tell you guys about me? I guess that's about it. When I am doing sessions and I go live, they are free. I can read palms. I can speak to loved ones that's passed on. I can see spirits and entities that are around people. I can answer questions. I can deliver messages from God. I can remove certain entities and evil from people. I can remove disease. I can help heal people. Really, I'm not limited to anything that I can do, which really surprises me because it just seems like I've done it all, you know. This is my 6th past life that I have lived. I'm not sure if there's any more to come. So I can remember back, say, 1300s, 12 and 1300s during the Salem witch trials. I can remember washing clothes out on a rock in the rivers. I can remember being the Queen of England, which is really crazy to learn because, after I found out that one of my past lives, I was actually the Queen of England, I did some research, and my 16th grandmother actually was the Queen of England in the 1700s. So, I can look a little into past lives. I don't really like to do that for some reason. It's not a big interest of mine. So what I do is I go live and you guys come on and you let me know if you have a question, or I'll ask you if you want angel card readings, or if you want yes or no questions, if you want wisdom words from God, if you want me to talk to a past loved one, those kind of things. And you ask the question, and I will answer them in the order that I receive them. I do not answer questions about pregnancies. I do not answer or do any readings whatsoever on children or about children. I will not tell you if your partner is cheating on you. I will not tell you if you'll have a certain job in the future, or how many kids you're going to have in the future. Honestly, try to stay away from telling people about the future. The Bible clearly says that no one is to know anything about the future. That is not for us to know. And even though I can do a reading and I know what your future is going to be like, I'm not going to tell you. I have guidelines that I stick so that I can keep what I do as Christian as I possibly can without getting confused, without being led astray. I'm not going to tell you if you're going to die, because guess what? You are going to die. That's a stupid question, isn't it? Am I going to die? Or when am I going to die? Or are you going to die when it's time for you to die? Are you going to die? Yeah. No point in answering that question, I'm not going to do that. And besides, one thing that we don't quite understand is one of the reasons why God made prophets and evangelists and messengers and all is because things can be changed. They can. But they have to change with you first. They have to change in your heart first. And so if I was to say to you, oh, you're going to die in 10 years, well, you could have a change of heart. There could be all kinds of changes that you make in your spirit and everything. And you may live 30, 40 years, or you may die the next day. Things change. Your spirit changes. Your mind changes. When your spirit don't really change, it can get hindered, and it can grow strong. So those things I will not answer. I don't answer pregnancy questions because, again, things can change. That child that you are carrying is right now nothing but spirit. And that child is going to choose the path that it wants to walk and the path that it wants to go on. And there's no way that I'm going to know what this spiritual being has planned for itself. And again, it could change. Because once that child is born, now it's amongst all the influences, the good, the bad, and the evil influences. And those influences are going to take a big toll on that child. And that child's going to change many, many times throughout its lifetime. So there is no certainty when it comes to children or pregnancies, no certainties. So I'm not going to do that. To answer questions if your spouse or your loved one's cheating on you, that's really hard. And I refuse to do that because what is cheating? What do you consider cheating? Do you consider your man glancing at another woman cheating mentally, emotionally? Do you consider a man who's made a friendship with another female cheating? Um, Men and women, we're all attracted to people. We don't have blinders on. Some people think that talking to another person is cheating, and lots of people think that's not cheating. So, how can I, if your spouse is cheating? And the other thing is, yes, I'll know if your spouse is cheating. But let's say that I tell you, and there was 100% chance that it could be turned around, but you refuse to listen. You get angry, you leave, the marriage splits up, you get a divorce, children are pushed from one place to the other. It hurts everybody. You get angry, and we want revenge, and we want to just end the relationship. Well, I'm sorry, but cheating is not a good reason to end a marriage. Cheating is not a good reason to drop a relationship if you really love someone. And, right now I can hear people saying, but if you love someone, you're not going to cheat. That is BS. I'm sorry, but that's BS. Lots of people go through different things. Their emotional and their spiritual being is different from each other. Some people cheat because they feel lonely. Some people cheat because they found themselves in a situation that went too fast and they couldn't control it. Some people cheat because they're not getting attention that they need at home. Some people cheat because they got married young and didn't get a chance to live. They got married at 16, they're now 34, and they've never been with anybody else. You know, these reasons are not reasons to just drop a relationship. Now, if you're with someone who has always cheated, always will cheat, is just a cheater, that's just in their blood, that's just who they are, then you don't need to be there to begin with. So why would I tell you if your partner's cheating? There has been a couple cases that if it's a serious enough situation, if I know that you can think logically, sometimes I'll answer that question. Sometimes. And if I do see that the person you're asking about is just one of those low lives that has no commitment for anyone and is always cheated and believes in cheating, I'll tell you. However, I won't just be blunt and bold with it. I will beat around the bush with it. I will say other things. I will bring in a holistic approach to life, and you'll just have to kind of read in between the lines, because all I can do really is give you advice. I can't tell you what to do. I can't, fix it for you. Now, any other spiritual modalities, I do like very private sessions, in-depth sessions, taking sickness and illness or evil from other people, to be a spiritual consultant month to month, removing spells. It just depends on the severity of the case and what all is required. I will charge anywhere from $20 to $50 because this is something where I put my life in jeopardy. It takes a lot out of me. It takes my energy. It will zap me for days. And I have to go through this roller coaster ride of emotions because of what I have taken and what I have put into me and what I'm trying to do with that. So, those things I charge for. And I don't know if there's anything else I want to say. But if so, I'll definitely get back on and let you guys know. So I'm going to start trying to have readings 2-3 days a week. It's been a while since I've been doing them. We've had life happening and I just kind of backed away from it. But here lately, the Spirit's been calling on me to get back into it. So anytime that you want a reading, send me a private message and I will put your name on a list and I will contact you or tag you in the next video that I do. And guys, please, if you will, hit subscribe, like, and share me, please, 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 please. Lots of people out there in this world need to hear my story. They need my help. And I am willing to just put myself out there for other people. And if you have not looked at my YouTube channel and you want to know more about me and more about what we do and where I come from, please go back there and check it out. My life story is there. And it's not a pretty one, but a lot of people can resonate with my situation. And it's those people that I want to reach out and help. So thank you guys. Please like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next show. Be blessed.